Our disappointment is on full display after the U.S. lost 2-0 to Mexico. So we rated the players. We've evaluated the players. We touched briefly upon our disappointment with Mauricio Pochettino's starting 11, but let's do this now. Chuck, I'm coming to you first. Our way too early conclusions from Pochettino's first camp in charge. How would you rate his first 2 games?
Oh my God. Talk about juxtaposition. Panama and Mexico. Home soil versus playing in Mexico, which is, if we got to play CONCACAF opponents, I'd rather play Mexico in Mexico every damn window if we got to do that. That's the type of
good test
game that we need. Yeah. If I had to rate overall for Pochettino, this game was not a good look for him because he did not rotate. He stuck with the same guys. We were talking about having him see a number of players in different situations, environments, guys who are tired on top of that. I just feel like he didn't utilize this window properly. This is where you got to take a look at a Tanner Tessman in Mexico and see what he can do. He's at Lyon. Throw him out there. I know he came in as a replacement, but hey, this is what you got. Same with Austin Trusty. Just throw him out there. You've seen Tim Ream. You know what he is. All right, let's see what Austin Trusty looks like against Raul Jimenez. So I'm gonna give him a 6. A 6 feels right.
So that'd be like an 8 versus Panama and a 4 versus Mexico. Is that how you kind of?
Yeah, that's it.
I kind of want to know what everybody else thinks at home. Hit us up at Golasso America at all the social media outlets and in the chat right now. What do you rate Mauricio Pochettino out of 10 for his first camp in charge? Big Tones, I know you love ratings. What do you got for us?
Especially coach ratings, right? Because the coach never kicks a ball. But yeah, look, I'm surprised tonight with Pochettino not rotating the lineup a little bit more. Surprised, as we mentioned, to see Ream there. I'm with Charlie. I'd rather have seen Trusty. I would have rather have seen more of Brandon Vasquez, maybe more of Haji Wright. But he trusted some guys, and they didn't get he didn't get performances out of them. I'm gonna go with Charlie, a 6. I mean, what is it, a 5 or is it a 6? And I don't really know the difference between the two. But what I am excited about is that over the window, we saw a little something different, and things that we haven't seen from this U.S. team. We saw this inversion, right, with 3 backs, the right back coming in through build-up with Scally, and then Musa playing high. And again, some of it worked, some of it didn't work. Sometimes it worked in one game, it didn't work in the other. I just like the ideas, the 210s, Pulisic when he's on the field coming in. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm just hopeful, Jimmy, that we're going to see a little bit more experimentation before we lock in on something, just to get an idea of what he wants to do. Because I feel like, and this isn't a knock on Greg, because every manager has their way of doing things. I just feel like coming into every single game, just about, we could predict the lineup and what they were going to try and do. And I feel like there's a little bit of unpredictability here. And maybe it's the lack of knowledge of Pochettino and what he wants to do. But I'm hopeful for that.
Yeah, I'm with you guys.
Could I also add, I think this is also a learning experience for Pochettino about these players too, and how the international windows work, that you can't run guys into the ground, that you have to rotate. And maybe you don't have to rotate the whole damn team, but you got to rotate at least 4 guys.
Minimum.
Minimum. And, maybe Musa, we saw that in the first game against Panama. Why not bring him into the midfield now? And maybe it's one of those things where you bring him in, you play him. You don't want to play Busio and Morris. Again, we've already saw that pair. So maybe it's like a Musa, you play him next to Tanner Tessman, see how that goes. I think Brandon Vasquez should have, at the very least, come in at halftime, right?
Agreed.
So, yeah, I hope Pochettino's improvement from this window, like, he learns a lot, not only about playing guys in certain positions, and you can't run guys in the ground and then play them the next match, but also, okay, maybe I gotta experiment a little bit more and see the depth of this team.
To use Tanner Tessman as an example, Now, okay, I know he got brought in because of injury or whatever it is. You gave him 10 or 15 minutes against Panama. You give him 20 minutes here. You saw him at training, of course. Is that enough information to make a decision on whether you can get back to what I said before? Can you trust him? Like, how do you know you can trust this guy unless you actually give him legitimate minutes, start a game in a tough environment? This is a great opportunity to do that. And now I still feel like he's in the gray area. Can you trust him or not? Obviously, there's still plenty of time in the run up to 2026 to earn that trust for all the players, Tanner included. But I just thought he's a good example of you could have had a more clear idea of what this player brings to your team and the way that you want to play. And he missed out on not starting a few of those guys because he wanted to give Busio and Morris another run out, or he wanted to give Brendan Aronson another run out, right? When he had other options that he could have gone.
But Jimmy, that's so confusing to me because those guys play. You talk about running guys down and being thoughtful of the clubs and
right.
Busio and Morris both play in their teams.
Right.
Like,
That's true.
It's like, what if anything? You're talking about relationship with clubs. Don't play the guys who are playing every game. Aronson plays, Busio plays, Morris plays, Tillman plays. Although you didn't play him in the first game, so it's all right to play him. But Ream plays. Play the guys who aren't playing, or the guys that you haven't given a chance yet. So
right.
that for me is the puzzling thing. You can't say we've already seen a couple of things that are contradicting.
Jimmy, to your point about Tessman, I'm only using him because you brought him up, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe do you have your answer? No, he doesn't trust him.
Yeah,
he saw him all week, and maybe he doesn't trust him. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Totally. So maybe he got to a point where he saw enough from those guys, and he saw training, and he trusts those other two guys right now more. And that's a part of the field. It's concerning because we know Weston's going to come back. We know Tyler's coming back, but they've been injured a little bit, so he's just trying to get some consistency in there in case you have to use them. Look, the reality is when those guys are healthy, these guys don't play, right? They don't play, but you still need some backups.
For sure. Tyler should be in the squad for Arsenal this weekend.
Yeah, that would be.
That's what they say. Yeah, that'd be great, man.
Yeah, hopefully that just maintains some health over an extended period of time. So using that as our next topic, as a springboard to our next topic, Big Tones. Can we predict maybe which players just didn't take advantage of their opportunity?
Didn't take advantage.
Did not take advantage, and maybe have now jeopardized their future. Let's say for the November camp, we don't have to say because a lot can change over 2 years, right? Or 20 months, whatever.
For me, if you're gonna like completely X somebody out of camp, and if you need a name or two, I'm gonna give you Josh Sargent. And I'm going to give you. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, he really hadn't done anything over camp.
I'd say Tillman. Tillman's in there for me.
Joe Scally was the other one, but we don't have cover in that position. Obviously Serginho Dest when he gets ready, but those would be two guys. And Tillman didn't shower himself in glory, but I just read today where Pochettino was comparing him to a young Dele Alli. So. He clearly likes him. You don't go out and say those types of things if you don't like him. He talked about his quality, and so I expect him to be back. To be honest,
no, I with regard to Tillman, he clearly does it for his club, and I know he's been playing really well. This particular game, it was his chance to kind of really take it and own it, and this is going to be my area of the field. And when we think about other, let's say, players that play 10s around the world, those guys are always on the ball sometime. They just find ways to get on the ball. And I felt like I'd be like, we're in buildup. Where's Tillman? And I couldn't find him in a good pocket of space. And then when he would get the ball, he'd play backwards. And I'm like, shit, so that just frustrated me and I think I'm more frustrated because I know and I've seen him consistently be good for his club over the last year. And why that doesn't translate to the national team frustrates me. So I guess my standards.
So who are your guys? Who are your two guys?
Tillman for sure. Tillman for sure. We just don't have to Tony's point. We don't have a lot of cover in that particular area. Miles, I don't think helped his cause tonight.
Yeah, he struggled.
He didn't take advantage of.
Aronson over 2 games.
but he's going to bring Aronson. Like he's
like the way that he wants to play, the high pressing and stuff.
I still think for me, I said this last game.
Sargent's bold out though.
Yeah, I still think for me that Brendan Aronson makes a better sub than he does a starter, and I get that. And in certain games, when you need energy, if you're pressing, if we're not going to press, like I don't know that Brendan Aronson is your possession guy, right? Like,
No.
So if we're not going out just high pressuring everybody, and it's going to be 90 minutes, foot on the pedal, or especially the first 30 minutes, like I don't know that he. At least I don't see it. I don't know if you see it differently, that he's that guy for you.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is you say he's not that guy in the possession or he's a great sub, but look at this instance when you're playing against a team who has more possession than you, who is physical. How is he going to come in and make a difference there? He's not. So in both scenarios, he doesn't make a difference.
The only difference for me is that at the end of games, the energy of other players change, right? So you come in and you know what it's like. You're in Mexico. You're Mexico tonight, and it's 1-1. And now all of a sudden, the last 15 minutes, this guy comes on and he's buzzing all around the field. When you're breathing out of your nipples in the 75th minute, and you're like. You're like, oh man, here comes this guy running around. You know how that goes, right? And you can get something out of him in those moments. But to get bodied like he did for literally 90 minutes from the start is different. When you come in, you know there's a different energy.
Yeah, but he's still getting bodied regardless. So it's for me.
Yeah, I understand you, but there's a role for him in this group, and Pochettino's going to use him. Yeah, there's a role for him. But I said it's not every game, and I still think it's over. It's over a period of time. Like you got to find the right games for him. It's not tonight wasn't the game for him.
So when you're breathing out of your ears, I feel like that's when you can really.
That's never happened to me. No,
only his nipples.
Only nipples. Okay. Well, this is another thing. Josh Sargent. There's a lot of comments that he didn't get service, and we've all been there. But you still find ways to impact the game. When you're playing against Spain, you're not going to touch the ball. You're not going to find service either. So how, if he's playing, you have to figure out ways to still impact the game. When you're playing Brazil, you're not touching the ball.
Tell us how to do that, Chuck. We want to know. Let the people know. How do you do that?
So defensively, you're in great positions to win the ball back and try and keep it for your team. When you know they're lumping the ball back, you saw him trying to fight off defenders. I think he won one ball. I wrote it. He had a great play where he's able to hold it up in the 11th minute. Aronson loses it after a strong hold-up play from him. But again, in transition, that's when you hurt teams. That's countering. But he doesn't have the pace, the exceptional pace to really hurt teams on the counter. So, those are things where you're looking, okay, depending on which opponent and depending on these scenarios, who can help us from the start of the match and who's a viable sub. And I don't think in either game did they do enough in either scenario to say, Pochettino go, you know what, this is a guy I can go to war with.
Somebody you can trust, right? So lots of questions. We need some answers. We'll see if Mauricio Pochettino and his coaching staff have them and what that looks like and how that's impacting the
Mr. Holland, roll the tape.
Okay.